Well, let's kick it off. So, a bit of technical difficulty at the start, but here we are, Retention Live, episode 4. We have one of my good friends, Paul Kennedy, here from Lifelike Media. We work together with a lot of clients, and we have worked with a lot of clients together when it comes to creative, and we'd refer them on creative on email, and it's been a really, really good mix. And Paul is a good friend as well, who was recently out in Marbella, and we were playing some golf together. But today we're going to dive into everything creatives and everything on e-commerce creatives and what that looks like now with AI and everything like that. So Paul, good to have you here.
Great to be here, and we were winning golf. That's what you didn't know that we were winning.
Exactly.
We won
Yeah,
some
we
money
were
off the buys.
first time in a long time playing golf, and we came out on top. So Paul, let's just dive straight into it. There's a bit of a structure here to these retention lives, and the first thing is just like, what are you seeing working best right now for retention? And obviously for yourself, you spend a lot of time on the creative side of things, but I'm sure you're spending time, you're getting messages from different brands through SMS. You're probably getting emails every single day from different brands. Maybe you're funnel hacking some of them. What are you seeing right now that stands out in retention? Is there any brands that come to mind?
Yeah, there's a few with the brands that we work with. Some of the best retention would be Prize Guy. They're a prize site, and they always come to mind because they constantly text me, but they don't overwhelm me, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't normally get that many SMSs, but whenever they're texting me, it's because something big is happening or something really exciting is happening. Like, they're dropping £1 million or they're dropping like a Ferrari that you can win for 20p. So obviously it's a prize site more than like ecom, but they always come first to mind because they do it really, really well. That and email, and they make a lot of sales that way. But more like the D2C side, if I'm thinking about brands that come to mind, especially in my email box, there's those apparel brands I follow, like Nude Project as an example. They're always sending me interesting updates. And what I always remember is more like the brand story, because it's really the founder is well, I don't know who's writing them, but it's the founder that's coming across in those emails. And I always like to figure out what he's up to and what he's doing, because he's a real smart guy, always coming up with creative campaigns and doing really interesting things with that brand. So when his email pops into my inbox, I usually just open it and scan it real quick. And I like that. There's a few other brands that do that very well as well. And then again, like, first thing coming to mind is the software companies that I particularly read. So like Motion, for example, they're sending me industry updates and industry insights. And I like to see those because they might send me something that maybe I'm not familiar with or I didn't know about. And it's in like a bite-sized format, so I can just consume that really quickly and instantly. I've kind of upgraded my knowledge a bit, and then subconsciously I kind of owe it to Motion for giving me these little insights. And there's lots of others like that, but
Yeah,
if I can get
that's
a
great.
little bit, I'll
That's really
then.
good. And that's what we push as well, like having different formats. So making sure you can have like a newsletter style to share insights, have like an education style email to obviously educate people, not just about your brand, but about the industry, about product, about collections, or obviously, with the brand as well. Then also there's obviously emails that are pushing people to actually buy the product. So I'm curious as well, if we just dive a little bit deeper into like Prize Guy, like how many SMSs are they sending you, like per month or per week, and how often you buy in there?
Yeah, I'm a sucker for buying there, to be fair, but how many? I'm just opening my SMS right now, but quite a lot. I get their email would be more than their SMS. Their SMS is mainly just to push something really big, or if they're underselling something, and they're pushing like a deal. So like I would say 2 to 3 times a week on the SMS, and maybe double
Nice.
that on the email.
Great. Good
Um,
stuff.
yeah.
And then just for you, like obviously you understand the whole e-commerce industry, and sometimes we'll have clients say, "Oh, like I don't buy from emails. Who buys from emails?" Do you often get roped into buying products from emails or from some of your favorite brands through stuff that comes through your inbox rather than through ads?
Um, I do actually from time to time if it would be like an offer. But I think for me as a consumer, because I'm actually trying to keep up with brands because I'm in this world and I'm interested, the more the brands are communicating with me, whenever the time comes for me to buy something, the ones that are top of mind are the ones that have been emailing me. And then they'll hit me with an offer and I'll probably just be like, oh, that now's a good time to buy. Um, but yeah, like I also I know some people would like wait for a sale. I don't necessarily wait for a sale. If I feel like I'm in the mood to buy, I'll buy. So, um,
Yeah, I got hit last night. I got the represent vault opening, and I'm like, I don't really need this, but I'm also like, it's just cheaper. I have this in a different color. I'd like another one of these tops, and I'm like, let's just do it, you know. And they'd have it pretty good because their loyalty is really good as well. But I did get roped into buying from an email last night or yesterday because I seen that. But it's yeah, it happens, you know, it happens. But is there any, before we kind of move on, is there any other brands that you're seeing do stuff really good, or any like really good emails that you've seen in your inbox over the last while, or something that's just completely different?
Yeah, again, top of mind, like Nomadic. I know we both work with them. They're awesome. But Pete does like his recap email, and I just love to see what's going on. It's, I guess the recurring theme is like it's the authentic insider info. So like Nomadic do it really well because it's just Pete's thoughts. I
Yeah,
think what does he call it? Like Friday thoughts or something like that.
yeah.
And
Pete's
it's
thoughts that comes from our team.
yeah, and like
Yeah,
I do like to hear what's going on inside a brand
100%.
beyond just the message that's getting pushed.
Yeah, so good. And we actually, from that, from the success that we've seen from that, and from some other brands on like structured weekly or bi-weekly or monthly newsletters, we've actually rolled that out across a lot of brands, and it just does really good. But there has to be like a true brand there for that to work. It can't be like a more of a drop ship and e-com store. It has to like have like a really good product, really good brand for that to work. Good stuff. Yeah, it's always interesting to get other people's insights on email, SMS, and how they think about it. And then like obviously AI is just taking over everything right now. And for you, Paul, like where do you see AI going, and mainly in e-commerce over, you know, over the next, let's just say 2 years? Like where are you seeing people spend their time? Is there anything that's going to be completely cut out or added? Like what's your thoughts on where e-commerce is heading with AI?
I think for brand operators and brand owners, utilizing AI at that like first research stage or like first understanding of who my customer is. For example, you could pull post-purchase survey data, or you could pull like testimonial data that you've collected and start to basically talk to your, that's even on the top level, talk to your chatbot about what's recurring theme through all that. And then even deeper, you could start looking at your own competitors, even products that are doing really well on Amazon. I've got a bunch of reviews. You can be pulling all those and just discussing with your chatbot, like, what are the recurring themes here? What are some of the objections people are having? And what are some of the reasons people are buying? And then use that information to then go out and actually put out a piece of content, maybe an ad creative or an email. And then as this system moves forward, there's AI at every stage. So, okay, maybe you're not the best at content creation, but now with like the way ChatGPT image gen is and the way that Claude can do headline copy, you can utilize these tools and get a whole bunch of creative to test based on the messaging that you've just discovered. And it's just removing all those barriers that used to exist for operators and making it way more efficient from a time and cost perspective. So I think AI is huge for actual operators who have brands and are trying to grow them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there. And for you guys, like what's some of the main ways you've integrated AI into your business to help with like that creative volume and even just the creative results and the feedback loop? Like what's some of the best areas you guys have integrated it?
Yeah, I mean, we've gone so deep. Like, you even know we have a guy now on the team full time just building out 1 mile deep software. So we have like agency OS system. But to give you an example, what some of these tools can do that we've built for ourselves, we can, across every ad that we've ever put out, across any account, we can bring that to the surface in our AI bot and compare them to other ads that are doing well. And if there's outliers, we can immediately see what that outlier is. We can pull a transcript from that outlying ad, and we can take the framework of that transcript that made the let's say the UGC video, whatever, so good, and then remix it with the data from a completely different brand, so that we're producing like net new scripts based on what's winning. And that's like what I've just said there is like 2 clicks, you know. So it's great from an agency's perspective, but we use it across everything from researching, coming up with avatars, like deeper avatars that maybe our client hasn't even considered, then coming up with, you know, based on the whole market. What's the sophistication level of these avatars? Like, do they really understand things and they're just looking for like a great deal or a new mechanism, or have they not even heard of this potential problem before? And we need to come at them from a very, cold, top of funnel, direct, sort of like, it's like our entry point. What's our entry point into the avatar? So we're doing all of this with just a few clicks realistically. And then that saves us so much time. So some of the most complicated and the most bulky work is being reduced down into just a matter of like minutes and hours. And then we have this phrase in Lifelike where it's brain bot brain. So we utilize our brain first, right? Because we're still humans and we need to focus. So we have a really good input. We take the output from the bot, and then we got to filter that again through our own knowledge and our own understanding of the world. But it just speeds everything up so much. But again, like Jordan, I could go so deep on any point of this at all, but we use it across the board.
Nice, yeah, and I like that brain bot brain. That's really good. We do something similar, but you guys have just phrased it pretty good, so I'm gonna steal that one as well. But yeah, there's a couple of things I want to go deeper on there, but because I do want to dive deeper into the creative. But just one more thing on like general e-commerce. Like, is there anything that you see brands doing wrong right now that's holding them back from, ultimately scaling and hitting their goals and really like pushing past 8 figures and beyond? Obviously, you work with a lot of 7-figure brands and 8-figure brands. Like, everyone's always talking about what to do, what strategies to do. Like, what are you seeing? Like, what things are getting in the way for brands?
There's a bit of disconnect. Like, I speak to a lot of founders, and they come to me saying, "Oh, I need to put out so much volume." I read this like LinkedIn post, and it's like I need to be putting out 200 ads a week. And we kind of just check them a little, and we're like, they feel like their bottleneck right now is volume of output, of creative output. But I'm trying to go deeper and challenge that. It's like, have you really figured out the angle in which to direct this volume? So they would maybe, like, for want of a better term, spray and pray. They're just putting a whole lot of nonsense out. But what we're seeing, and that's wrong. I believe that's wrong. I don't think people are getting good return on their efficiency with doing that. Where I see better return is being a little bit more dialed. So going a little bit deeper into what are we trying to make, and like really understanding why is someone going to buy this product, and even making, 10 good quality assets, really, really considered assets, is a much better use of your time and your spend than spraying and praying. And to be honest, I see this across quite a lot of accounts, because the narrative on Twitter and the narrative of LinkedIn is we need more volume. And I'm just like, chill on the volume until you've really cracked the angle. Then you can build systems in that direction to make more volume there. But I do think people get hung up there.
So it's more of a sniper approach rather than a shotgun approach. And for you guys with a creative agency, you'd think you'd be the one pushing, you need more volume, right? Because it's how your business is going to make more money. So like, coming from yourself, I think if e-commerce, founders listen to this, it's super important to like get really dialed into your messaging and not just focus on the amount of output and adding net new ads into your ad account. Because I call it AI slop. Like, I'm sure a lot of what's going on right now is people just putting AI slop into their ad account, and it's just not performing. But it's important to go on that like sniper approach, which is really good. Okay, great. And then like, what else are you seeing working best right now? Mainly on like creative styles. So obviously there's a bunch of different creative styles. If it's UGC, professional, static. What are you seeing work best right now? And obviously this is it's going to be different from brand to brand. But is there any type of creative that is working best right now in June of 2026?
Yeah, you're right. It is different for every brand, but I do know some of our biggest spending ads are going to be like before afters. So you can do that in the form of a static graphic, or you can do that in the form of like a video. But like universally, that format of before and after result works really, really well done correctly. Other things that we're seeing do well is like story. So like the product story, like how did it come about, how the founder created this or discovered this gap and then solved it. So founder story done authentically and quite raw does really, really well. So we've done a few of those. But again, like immediately, if you say what's performing best in the account, I'd say there's 3 accounts where the top spender is before afters or problem solution. And that just speaks to like that type of product. Not every product necessarily solves a problem, but if you have one that does, you really need to be leaning into that.
Good stuff. And then let's say someone does a before and after, and it's the top spend or the best spending ad inside the ad account. What do you do then when you have a winner? Let's say it's bringing in customers profitably. It's like, let's say, the best ad that this brand has ever seen. Because I know you guys do that from time to time, where you work with someone, best brand ever, and it just blows up. But what do you do next? Like, where do you go from there when you have this winning ad? Obviously, it's like, oh, I don't want this to die, but at some point it is going to die. So how do you then take that winning ad and then leverage this as an asset to create other ones or find other winners? Like, what do you guys do there for clients?
Yeah, so I mean, great example. It's happening right now. We had like a mashup ad. It was all about before, after, and it did really, really well. But it was a mashup of loads of different kind of pieces of B-roll. We're now sending that script or a variation of that script, but it's the same concept, to different creators to basically give us the exact same framework and the same narrative, but from their POV. So that's going to give us basically net new face, slightly net new, like a net new environment. Maybe they'll be in bathroom, kitchen, etc. So the videos are going to be slightly unique. However, they're built off of that winning concept and that winning framework. So that'll be one. Then we can also take that into a lot of different statics. So lots of different headlines. But again, around the same concept that's worked. We have a static, one of our highest spending statics was all about saving time. And we just utilized that saving time headline, built a whole bunch of different ones and have different product imagery in and around it. So each of them look unique, but it's all the headlines are about saving time for this particular avatar. So it's like same, but different. And that uniqueness is important, especially like with the way Meta is right now. So you have to think about what is the reason why the ad worked and how can I keep that essence of the winning concept, but do it in lots of different ways, uniquely.
Nice. And you'd be doing what, like 10 new videos or new ads based on a winning angle, or is it like 100? And obviously I know it depends on spend, but like if someone was to find a winner, like how many more variations would you create?
Yeah, try and create as many as you can. You're right, it does depend on spend, but let's say someone is spending, like hundreds of thousands per month on spend, and that is proven to be your winner. Essentially, you want to get as many more in there that's going to take that spend away from kind of like the losing ads, whilst also allowing you to increase your spend on top of that, because you don't want to just maintain at 100K. You want to add spend without kind of affecting your margin too much. So it's basically, it comes back to the efficiency question. So how many can you put out? How much can you get out as either a solo founder or working with an agency? So we'll have that discussion based on spend, based on goals, based on what was your last purchase order. Like, what are we actually trying to achieve here? How much are we trying to spend? Okay, let's get, we can get 15 to 20 more videos with this creator. We can get 20 more statics, and that's, going to move the needle quite considerably.
Good stuff. Amazing. Yeah, I think we could spend another half an hour just on this topic alone on what's working right now. But you mentioned about getting creators to re-record these videos or to get a new face. Where does AI tie into this then? Have you guys seen AI be winning ads? And I know if this is AI avatars or if it's AI UGC, and there's a lot of different ways that you can obviously do this, but where are you seeing AI fit into that? And ultimately just around, then the production of that as well. So have you guys seen AI ads be some of the best performing in ad accounts?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first, again, coming to mind is we had a concept that was performing so well for a client. It was, an actually human concept, a workman. And we'd kind of stretched this as far as we could over a number of months. And now that, recently the AI tools got so good, you probably saw the rise of claymation animation ads.
Yeah,
so we
I know this brand. We work with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so good.
We took the winning concept that we'd actually built with a real creator and we built it into claymation. So it's not a character and it's a little bit funny and his trousers fall down and his butt comes out and that's the hook. And the creative metrics in this are extremely powerful and it's getting a lot of spend in this example, which is brilliant because, again, the context of why we went there was we'd already give it to loads of creators similar. We kind of had expanded that side. And now AIs just give us a completely new pillar that we can just go into, which is really fun. And then, okay, that's the video. but you take a screenshot of that video and you've got a claymation static with different headlines, and it just gives you more and more opportunity to create iteration.
So good. So if anyone had a winning ad inside their ad account right now, they could just then take that and then leverage AI to recreate that with like animation or that clay nation, whatever you call it,
Yeah.
and go from there. Yeah, that's a great one.
And if any of your audience are watching and they want that, if they reach out to you or me, I'll send them that ad so that they can see it. But I'll not dox it live, but I'll definitely give it to them in the DMs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that one was great. Yeah, we work with them. They were super happy with our whole, hybrid and AI offer that we did there. But really good brand. I love seeing stuff like that when you just take something that's already worked and with not much extra work, you're able to get a whole lot more out of it. And then when it comes to like actually creating the content, like how are you seeing brands creating content right now? And like what does that look like if it's, like honestly, it seems like every brand that we work with is looking for a creative strategist. To me, it's like, seems to be like one of the biggest roles inside of an e-commerce brand is like find that creative strategist. It seems to be the role that everyone headhunts for. And, obviously you guys do a lot of this as well. So I'm curious on like how you're seeing brands output this content with the quality and obviously the quantity as well. If that's with working with an agency like you guys or obviously doing it internal, I know there's probably a mix of a hybrid as well. But I'm curious on like how brands are actually creating content these days with editors, with AI, and stuff like that. Like what's the overall structure?
Yeah, I mean, I see so many different problems, issues. I see people doing it in so many different ways. But one thing that I see whenever I talk to founders who are trying to say like, "Oh, I'm doing the content, it's just not working," and I look at what they're putting out, and they're trying really hard to make great content. They're trying to like bring it into CapCut and make transition cuts and text and like add overlays. And I'm saying to them, like, the message fine. You're not an editor, so don't even try to be. Stop trying to create this content and just open your phone, speak to your phone, tell them your truth, make a mistake, trip up on your words if you it doesn't matter, but say your message with a strong hook, export that, put it into captions.ai, get really nice neat captions on it, and that can go live as your ad. You need to strip back all the complexity because I'm seeing too many founders get hung up on the time it takes to come up with an idea, film it, edit it, all of these problems that stand in the way of that. Whenever they could just open their phone, rip one, what we call yappers, or now people are calling it yappers, rip one and get a caption on it and get it live. So that's something I see that I'm often trying to coach people into. Like, if you're happy to be the face, that's a great asset. But don't let something else be the bottleneck because some people don't even want to be the face, or like some dropshipping brands could never be the face.
Yeah.
But if you are, lean into that.
Okay, so that's
Like,
that's on like founder recording their own content, which I think anyone can do. And if you're, if you love your product and you want to be the face of it, I think that's a great one to do. And then like, if we were to go a step further, then and they were to edit it, like, does every brand need an editor, or do they outsource that? Can it now be done with AI? Like, what does that look like?
I would definitely be getting an editor because right now, with the way the market is, editing is cheap. Like, editors are a cheap resource, so you can get a third party, like someone in the Philippines. They're some of the greatest workers. We've got them as well. The output for the cost is extremely worth it. Like, it's a very good lever to pull. So I would definitely get an editor. And then as a founder or someone who's operating a brand, your job becomes, okay, well, what content can I get for them to edit? And that could be you in the DMs reaching out to micro creators saying, can I send you the product to get some shots? Like, this is like the basic stuff before you even talk about building full like creator systems. Simply getting your product in the hands of some creators, paying them a few quid to hit some shots, giving it to your friends, your family, using it yourself, and then just getting all this raw footage to editors and giving them some examples that you've seen that you like to give them reference videos. And like, again, we're talking to people who are early to solve this problem. Like, that's going to give you a lot of leverage.
And what if you have to output hundreds or thousands of creatives for bigger brands? Because obviously we've also like people who are watching this, it's a good mix of, people that are starting out, but also we have a lot of brands that are doing, multi eight figures. a year, sometimes even per month. So like, what does that look like at massive scale? How do you go from, outputting all the creatives that you need, so like that doesn't become a bottleneck in your business?
Yeah, if I was at that top scale, I'd be hiring multiple agencies and basically teeing them up off against each other. Even, you could have two or three agencies, and we've been in this position loads of times, and I love it because it gives us an opportunity to be great. But, you can actually get a lot of output from three different agencies. You can find out who's winning amongst them, but you might keep all three or two. If each of their ads are profitable in their own right, the CPA is within your target margin, why would you get rid of them? So there is, if we're talking about now big spenders, pay to get that problem solved. You'll have your deep research, you'll have all the best creators, you'll have all the best editing, you'll have the best scripts, and that'll all be just done for you into the account. Now all you have to do is manage to spend against that, cut off the ones that aren't performing and keep scaling the ones that are, and then just go and order more. So, we've been in many situations where we're competing against other well-known agencies, in our network, and some of us are all in the account and some of us got dropped off, and, but for the brand, that's such a nice play for them.
So good. So good. And how are you guys like internally able to output so much content? Like I know you're working with so many brands, a lot of big brands that get some big packages with you guys. Like what structure do you have? Because this might be something that brands can take as well, and like their structure. Like what way are you doing pods? Is it, is it because you guys are all in-house? Because you're obviously in Belfast and a lot of your team are in-house. You've got an amazing studio. So you're able to do so much volume because of that? Or like, is it something else? Like you guys are able to output so much content. How are you able to do that?
We use the pod structure, yeah. So each pod would be headed up by a creative strategist. So we have 4 pods at the minute, and they can take between, again, it depends on the pack size, but we would say between 4 to 6, maybe 7 if they're all smaller packs, clients each. And every pod has editor, graphics, creator sourcer. So we're constantly sourcing creators, which is quite a bottleneck, but we've solved that. So we have the pod structure for the direct response, like the UGC, educational videos, like that kind of thing. And then we also have a separate pod, which is we call them like the pro team, the high production brand style team. They're actually in there right now. I mentioned the studio. They're all shooting founder content in there right now with a local company, a local product brand. And by siloing off the pods, they're basically like, they have their own responsibilities, but they have their own capacities. And then we know as an agency, if we're going to try and push a little bit of scale or there's some work coming in, we can build a pod relatively easily. Our systems already exist, all the softwares exist. And we can build a pod with like 3 people to get started. It'll be profitable after the first account. And that's how, as an agency, we can manage that. And then, of course, we have like seniors like Jack Anna and Jack Kennedy in there managing the pods. So yeah, that's how we do it.
Amazing. Yeah, so that's obviously something that people can do internally for their brand, or obviously it's just like insight on how you guys are doing it. But it is important that you have a system like that. Same with us at Retention for Brands. We got to have a good system so we can output thousands and thousands of emails every single month. And you just showed obviously a client in the studio there. I know you guys have worked with a lot of big brands. Like, what's some of the favorite brands that you guys have worked with? And I know it's like a mix of it's a lot of e-commerce. I know there's some other cool opportunities that you guys have got in the golf industry and stuff as well. But what's some of your favorite like e-commerce brands that you guys have worked with?
Well, my favorite all time was Malbon Golf. They are e-commerce. They're golf apparel. They did a collaboration with Bushmills, and we were very lucky we got to shoot that launch event. It wasn't like direct response, but when you said favorite, like that's what immediately came to my head. They were on my dream board 3 years ago, and we managed to get them last year. But in terms of e-com, there's a diffuser brand we have, and the reason I love them is because they've been with us over a year now. The system is they just let us do it. They just let us do our system without interfering too much. They just clear our assets. They've ascended through our packs from our first tier to our second tier to now our third tier. So it's just from a founder, I'm like, this is perfect. And, they've referred us a bunch of business. So I love those guys. So shout out them. personally, then we also got to work with Monopoly to launch their Ibiza board, which was all direct to consumer, which was pretty special. We did a concept, so I pitched the concept. It got cleared, and we created that for the launch. We actually made it last year for a launch this summer. That's how far ahead they plan.
I remember that creative. So good. Like, I've probably just seen it once, but I just remembered the creative and getting pulled in, being in Ibiza. Like, so good, so good.
Yeah, girl gets sucked into the board, and then she's in Ushuaia. So like, again, like the system rules. If you think about how many pods and how many clients I have, I'm not like emotionally involved in too many of them, but there is ones that stand out for me as a founder, and of course, like there's cooler brands that are more aligned with us. Like we do saunas and fitness stuff and supplements, which I like because then they send us the product and I get to use it.
Sure.
Shout out Peter. I know we've already mentioned him, but like he lent us a couple of watches, so those guys are great. So many. Do you know what? We're so lucky. We're so blessed that what we get to do and who we get to work with. Kind of check yourself sometimes and realize that what we're doing is pretty awesome.
It's great, and the best thing about the creative side is you guys do get all the products. Where like obviously we work with some amazing brands as well, and we order product, but you guys just get like packages and packages every day of more and more products. That amazing.
Which is a problem in itself. I have 2 storage containers plus our own internal storage, so it's different problems.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know you, for some of the Christmas parties you've done in the past, you've given some product away, which is always good. But what else is on the cards for Lifelike for the rest of this year? Obviously, Black Friday coming up. It's going to be coming sooner rather than later. Maybe you guys are already like working on some of that stuff. I know for content, you obviously got to get planned in advance. But is there anything else happening for Lifelike? What are you guys focused on?
Yeah, I mean, Black Friday's a little bit early for us now. We normally get into it sort of September time. For us, a couple of really big things. I suppose I'll share them here. One is we put down an offer to buy our own warehouse and office block, which would be 4 times the size of the space we're in right now, which is just going to give us so much more capacity across the studios that we have, the podcasts, leaning more into like founder-led podcasts. And it's just going to give us a lot more scope to do incredible stuff. And we're also launching a few brands on the side, so don't know how much we can shout about that just yet, but it's definitely cooking in the background. Alongside that, just constantly reinforcing the system, bringing more AI in. How can we be more efficient to get a better output for our clients so they'll stay longer? And yeah, we've got a little bit more capacity. We want to bring in the right brands, offering them our performance deal where we basically partner with them and they only pay us for winning ads after they win. So we're launching that deal. And yeah, just keep the foot down and keep her lit.
Good stuff. One of my favorite things that you guys do is just documenting along the way, and the monthly recaps are just so good. I know like every time there's always something going on. If it's someone from the team doing a cool shoot, traveling around the world, obviously you helped organize a skiing trip that we went on as well. So there's always just something happening. So for anyone listening, if you don't already follow Lifelike or Paul on Instagram, definitely follow them because they do these like amazing recap videos every single month. And I know there's a lot of cool stuff that goes out on YouTube as well, with some of the personal brands that you guys have worked with. So definitely recommend checking that out. And is there anything else, Paul, or anywhere else where people can find you? I'm sure it's mainly Instagram and LinkedIn, but is there anything else that you want to share with anyone before we jump off here?
Yeah, the YouTube, we are trying to put a bit more effort into that, documenting the journey and everything that's getting built. Other than that, no, I'm just encouraging as many people to get in front of the camera as possible. We talk about these moments, like you might have a big moment, like a big product landing or something, and you might shout about a product launch, but the interesting part is what's happening on the way up to that product launch, or the bits in between and the things that go wrong and the shipments that get stalled and, the scam that you get hit by, these things that happen, they might seem like problems, but they're also opportunities to authentically document the story. And what I've found for doing this 6 years now is the founders that document their story and be relatable and authentic, people actually buy into that and they support that and they get a lot more trust.
So do you mean just like
trust is a
taking
big
out your
thing,
phone so do you mean just taking out your phone and recording what's happening, or like selfie style or images? because I think that's so good, and I can think of like one or two clients that have done this really good, and then we leverage that inside of emails as well. But yeah, like what type of content do you mean here?
Yeah, like founder-led content, and I do mean literally everything because
Nice.
you can. It's one thing to document it and record it. You don't necessarily have to share it straight away. So don't feel like I'm not going to record this because I'm not going to post it. Record it because someday you might want to tell that story. And Jordan, we could also give away kind of like our founder doc that I
Yep.
produced. I'll not take too much time, but it's basically like this, and it's explaining like no matter what's going on, grab your phone and record it. There's a couple of examples of how you can create these story videos, and then we explain this story arc and how this might be the idea that you had and where it came from, and then how you started to gain some momentum. You got a couple of samples, your family and friends loved it, and then something happened. Whatever that something is, you want to get your phone out and document it, and then how that hurt you a little, and then what was that turnaround point, and now like what's the journey now? Like people, this is what helps people buy. So you can always document after, but if you never got the clips to record, you're gonna miss out on a lot of opportunity. So we can maybe send them that doc as well, and we can send them whatever you think's valuable.
Yeah, good stuff. We'll if it's a link, it'll be in the link below. We'll add it to the description anyways, or you can just DM Paul for that. But really good. I love that, and I think that's what it's all about. Is like showing the authentic side, and that's what we talked about at the start with Nomadic and stuff like that. The Friday thoughts, the insights behind the brand. Like I think that's what really builds community, and it's stuff like that that's like really really important to build that community, because to me community is one of the biggest moats that you can have for your brand, because people can't copy that, story because it's not authentic. So yeah, really good. Super happy you brought that up. But that is everything, Paul. Super great to have you here. This is episode 4 of Retention Live. We'll have you back on before Black Friday so we can talk about Black Friday strategy. We can deep dive into exactly what's going to work, different creative angles that people can do there for Black Friday. So that's it. Great to have you on, Paul. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, Jordan. See you guys.